Number 5. AGM-158 CLR-ASM Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile. The AGM-158 CLR-ASM is not just a missile, it is essentially a flying robot with a brain, because unlike every previous anti-ship missile ever built, this weapon carries an onboard artificial intelligence processor that independently analyzes up to 100 separate enemy ships in its path, compares their shapes and heat signatures against a preloaded database of known warship profiles, selects the single highest value target on its own without any human instruction, and then chooses the most vulnerable impact point on that specific ship's hull to maximize damage, all of this decision-making happening autonomously at 500 miles per hour while flying just 15 feet above the ocean surface to avoid radar detection. The engineering numbers behind this missile are genuinely staggering. It weighs approximately 2,500 pounds at launch, carries a 1,000-pound penetrating warhead specifically designed to punch through armored ship hulls before detonating inside the vessel rather than on its surface, has a published range of 200 miles. But defense analysts estimate the classified operational range exceeds 350 miles based on fuel capacity calculations, and its radar cross-section is so small that existing Chinese naval radar systems require the missile to be within just 4 miles of a ship before detection becomes possible, by which point interception is mathematically impossible at the missile's terminal approach speed. Unit cost: $3 million each. Number 4. AIM-174 B Long Range Air-to-Air Missile. The AIM-174B is the missile that fundamentally broke the mathematical foundation of China's entire anti-access strategy, because Beijing spent over 2 decades and tens of billions of dollars building a defensive bubble around the Taiwan Strait, specifically calculated on the assumption that American carrier-based fighters could only engage targets within 100 miles, and the AIM-174B did not just exceed that assumption, it demolished it entirely by extending the carrier air wing's engagement boundary to approximately 150 miles, meaning every Chinese radar installation, every airborne early warning aircraft, and every command and control plane that China depends on to coordinate its air defense network can now be targeted and destroyed before a single Chinese fighter jet ever receives authorization to launch. What makes this missile uniquely terrifying from an engineering standpoint is its dual-domain lethality. Its active radar seeker operates across multiple frequency bands simultaneously, meaning it cannot be jammed by any single frequency, electronic warfare system currently deployed by any adversary, and its onboard inertial navigation system allows it to continue flying toward its last known target coordinates, even if all external guidance signals are completely cut off mid-flight. The missile's 140-pound blast fragmentation warhead detonates with a lethal radius of approximately 35 feet, large enough to destroy any aircraft within that sphere regardless of evasive maneuvers taken in the final seconds before impact. China spent tens of billions of dollars and 20 years building a strategy to keep American carriers away, and this single missile made every dollar of that investment worthless overnight. Do you think China has any realistic answer to a weapon that can destroy its entire air defense network before a single one of its fighters even gets off the ground? Drop your honest answer in the comments right now. Unit cost: $4 million each. Number 3. AGM-88 GAAR-GMER Advanced Anti-Radiation Guided Missile Extended Range. The AGM-88 GAAR-GMER is the weapon that makes every enemy radar operator on Earth face an impossible choice, because this missile was specifically engineered to hunt, track, and destroy radar systems, meaning the moment any adversary activates their air defense radar to detect incoming American aircraft, That radar emission signal instantly becomes the precise homing beacon that guides this missile directly to the operator's exact location, creating a situation where turning on the radar guarantees destruction and turning off the radar leaves the entire air defense network completely blind. A no-win decision cycle that American mission planners deliberately designed into the weapon's core targeting logic. The engineering specifications behind this dilemma are extraordinary. The AARGMER carries a completely new rocket motor that extends its range to an estimated 150 miles, representing a 67% range improvement over the previous AGM-88E version, which maxed out at approximately 90 miles. It flies at speeds exceeding Mach 2.5, making interception almost physically impossible, and its passive radar seeker is sensitive enough to detect and lock onto radar emissions at power levels so low that the emitting system's own operators may not even realize their equipment is actively broadcasting a detectable signal. Most critically, even if an enemy radar operator recognizes the threat and immediately shuts their system down mid-flight, the missile's onboard GPS and inertial navigation system remembers the last confirmed coordinates of that radar installation and continues flying directly toward that position. Unit cost: $1.2 million. Number 2. RIM-162 ESSM Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile. The RIM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow missile solves a problem that nearly every other naval defense system in the world still struggles with: the ability to simultaneously engage multiple incoming threats arriving from completely different directions, at completely different altitudes, and completely different speeds, all within the same 3-second engagement window, because its vertical launch configuration fires the missile straight up before a special thrust vectoring nozzle physically redirects the weapon toward any compass direction at angles that no traditional rail-launched missile can physically achieve, giving a single carrier the ability to engage threats arriving simultaneously from the north, south, east, and west without rotating any physical launcher or repositioning any deck equipment. The technical performance data behind this capability is remarkable. The RIM-162 accelerates from 0 to Mach 4 within just 2.5 seconds of leaving its launch cell, reaches an operational engagement altitude of approximately 50,000 to 55,000 feet, making it effective against both sea-skimming cruise missiles flying 15 feet above the ocean and high-altitude ballistic threats descending from above simultaneously. And each Mk-41 vertical launch cell can store 4 ESSM missiles quad packed into the space normally occupied by a single larger missile, meaning a carrier strike group can quietly carry nearly 4 times more defensive firepower than any adversary's satellite imagery or intelligence assessment would ever calculate from external observation alone. A single carrier strike group is now quietly carrying 4 times more defensive firepower than any enemy intelligence service can calculate from the outside, and every one of those missiles can engage a completely different threat from a completely different direction within the same 3 seconds. Do you believe any Navy on Earth currently has a coordinated attack sophisticated enough to overwhelm this defensive system? Or has American carrier defense finally become genuinely unsinkable? Tell me exactly what you think in the comments below. Unit cost: $2 million each. Number 1. RUM-139 VL ASROC Vertical Launch Anti-Submarine Rocket. The RUM-139 VL ASROC solves the single most terrifying problem a carrier strike group faces: the threat that approaches completely invisibly from directly below the surface, because modern enemy submarines like China's Type 0 93B and Russia's Yasin M-class can fire torpedoes from depths of up to 600 meters while maintaining acoustic signatures so quiet that passive sonar arrays sometimes cannot detect them until they are already within lethal torpedo range. and the VL ASROC was specifically engineered to close that detection to destruction timeline gap by launching from the ship's vertical launch system, flying through the air at over 600 miles per hour to cover distances of up to 13 miles in approximately 78 seconds, and then deploying a Mark 54 lightweight torpedo directly above the submarine's last confirmed position before the torpedo enters the water and begins its own autonomous spiral search pattern. A window long enough for a detected submarine to travel over 2 miles and completely escape the engagement zone, while the VLASROC compresses that entire response timeline to under 90 seconds from launch authorization to torpedo water entry, giving enemy submarine commanders virtually zero time to execute any meaningful evasive maneuver after their position has been identified. What this ultimately means for any adversary operating submarines near an American carrier strike group is that the underwater battlefield has permanently shifted because a weapon that can detect, respond, and deliver a homing torpedo to your exact location in under 90 seconds does not give a submarine commander enough time to even fully process the threat alert before the Mark 54 is already in the water spiraling toward their hull. Unit cost: $1.5 million. What you just watched is only a fraction of what is already deployed and operational beneath the ocean surface right now, and the technology is advancing faster than any public report is telling you. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. The next video is coming very soon.